This is not just an ordinary prison, this is a living hell. Nearly 4,000 sociopaths, psychopaths, and serial killers are locked up here, though they may look harmless. Some of them have taken the lives of hundreds of people. Countless inmates here suffer from severe schizophrenia and hallucinations. Some hear invisible voices, while others see imaginary visions. This is a prison where the state carries out mental torture and complex experiments on humans. Here, terrifying serial killers and gangsters are confined in sensory deprivation tanks. Their brains become isolated from the outside world and left in complete loneliness. They suffer from different kinds of mental trauma and delusions. There is no way out of this prison, and even if someone does get released, they become mentally crippled for life. The name of this horrifying prison is CECOT, located in El Salvador. It was built like a fortress surrounded by mountains, where no outside eye can ever reach. The prison is divided into 23 massive blocks. Each block is further divided into countless cells. The cells are filled with darkness. There are no windows, no natural light, and no air circulation. Once you enter this prison, you can never come out. The minimum crimes of the inmates here are genocide, child murder, or rape. These are the people who refuse to change their mindset. Once, they were members of extremely violent gangs like MS-13 and Barrio 18. They tattooed their bodies to openly display aggression and dominance. At one time, they were the gods of nearly 80% of El Salvador's territory, where the government had no control over the people. But today, their situation is something that surpasses any sci-fi or dystopian prison. This terrifying and controversial prison was first built by the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele. The main purpose behind its construction was to eliminate dangerous gangs like MS-13 and Barrio 18 and to re-establish state control. At the entrance of the prison, there are scanners, facial recognition cameras, military-grade security, and even drone-controlled surveillance. Thousands of soldiers and police guard the prison 24 hours a day. No lawyer is allowed to enter, journalists are banned, and even family members have no idea what is happening inside. In CECOT, prisoners have no beds to sleep on. They sleep packed tightly together on the floor. Many times, they are forced to sit for more than 24 hours straight. Some of them were once powerful gang leaders, but today they can't even see the sunlight. Their ego, sense of power, and identity completely collapse. Some inmates are forced to sit for hours in their own excrement, which has a monstrous psychological effect. In such conditions, many bite their own bodies until they bleed or attempt suicide. Due to extreme stress and malnutrition, their cortisol levels remain at the highest point in their blood. When the brain is flooded with this hormone for a long period, the hippocampus shrinks. They lose the ability to recall past memories clearly and to make rational decisions. Inside the prison, the lights remain on 24 hours a day. Prisoners use the toilets in front of everyone. They have no personal boundaries or privacy. The inmates cannot tell the difference between day and night. Their circadian rhythm is disrupted, causing sleep deprivation and nightmares. From sleeplessness, fear, and constant anxiety, their prefrontal cortex, which is linked to logic and imagination, becomes weak, while their amygdala becomes hyperactive. Their uncertainty, panic, and toxic behavior multiply many times over. This prison destroys their reasoning, self-control, and morality. It turns every prisoner from a sociopath into something far more terrifying, a psychopath. Because so many people are crammed together, their insular cortex and mirror neurons get damaged. As a result, they turn into emotionless, selfish survival machines. Normally, when we see humans suffering in society, our mirror neurons light up, and we feel empathy. But this prison deliberately strips away those social emotions. It forces people to think of themselves as machines. When prisoners are unable to make any personal decisions for days on end, their anterior cingulate cortex becomes inactive. As a result, they cannot focus on anything, and disturbances appear in their behavior. In short, their neurons are eroded, their personality is erased, and they are transformed into obedient slaves. The structure of their brain becomes submissive. Inside this prison, there are no clocks or mirrors on the walls. Prisoners have no sense of time. None of them even know what they look like. This is called mirror deprivation. From the next room, the sound of brutal screams of suffering is always heard. Right in front of them, other inmates are mercilessly beaten. If one prisoner breaks the rules, the water supply of the entire block is cut off. Toilets are kept locked for 12 to 24 hours. This puts them under terrible social pressure, because inmates turn against each other. In this way, the spirit of cooperation is destroyed. They attack one another themselves. Outside CECOT, there is no contact with the world, no phone, no letters, no visits. It is as if there is an organized system to erase human existence. Families don't even know if the prisoners are alive. They just wait. On one side is the state, on the other side is death. When a prisoner dies here, no death report is recorded. They disappear as if they never existed in the world. Countless people have been arrested here on charges of being associated with knowledge, without any proof or trial. This is called presumption of guilty. You are a criminal first, then comes the evidence. The prisoners have no expression, no outlet. They cannot reach out to the media, their families, or lawyers for bail. It is as if they have been erased from society itself. Here, thousands of prisoners are placed inside an artificial society, where strategies of social control are applied to them, but without any scientific guidelines. This is like a state-run version of the Stanford prison experiment. One of the most horrifying psychological punishments of this prison is sensory deprivation. Dangerous serial killers and gangsters are locked inside a black box. They can neither hear sounds nor see anything. Their senses are starved. In the face of extreme loneliness and fear, they collapse mentally. If any prisoner screams or protests, they are stripped naked and forced to stand for hours in front of other inmates. This is a form of psychological torture. Some, even though they are serial killers, become so crushed by fear that they refuse to admit to their own crimes, hoping they can forget their past in order to survive. At intervals, prisoners are blindfolded and forcibly taken out of their cells to the bathroom, destroying their sense of time and direction. While they sleep, water is suddenly splashed on their faces, or bright lights are flashed. This is called sleep deprivation torture. This prison also has a dark chamber. Inmates are locked inside, and live rats are released in the room. There is no light, no water, and they are forced to stay there for hours upon hours. CECOT's most infamous punishment method is silent cell confinement. The room is completely soundproof. After 24 continuous hours of absolute silence, the human brain begins to produce auditory hallucinations. The prisoner starts hearing crying, whispers, or screams, which do not exist in reality. As a result, some prisoners tear out their own hair, begin biting themselves, or bang their heads against the wall. Some even experience out-of-body experiences. During this, they claim their soul leaves the body and travels to another world. Scientists explain that under extreme pressure and overstimulation, the brain's temporal lobe can become hyperactive, creating this illusion of leaving the body. Most of the prisoners in this facility suffer from extreme schizophrenia. Some claim they speak with God. Others believe they are superhuman beings. The sounds of beatings, the darkness, scenes of death, and the prolonged loneliness produce complex PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, that is far more severe than ordinary PTSD. This can lead to memory loss, dissociation, out-of-body experiences, and even multiple personalities. In this prison, many inmates suffer from multiple characteristic disorder, each performing as a different character at different times. There are no names for prisoners here. They are identified by numbers or marks. People are turned into a single digit. Most of CECOT's inmates are between 18 and 25 years old. Normally, at this age, males compete intensely to attract sexual partners. For example, a peacock displays its enormous tail to attract a mate, even though that display is harmful to its health. Similarly, at this stage of life, human males take extreme measures to attract females. They climb the Himalayas, land on the moon, or search for godlike equations like Einstein. But at this age, many also resort to aggression and violent behavior to attract women. For example, the attack on the Twin Towers. They are very risk-taking and sensation-seeking. There are an estimated 10 million people in prisons worldwide, 90% of whom are men. Psychologist Satoshi Kanazawa warns that if males at the right age have normal sexual opportunities, aggression and violence among them decrease. But in El Salvador the equation was different. Big gangsters had monopolized the beautiful women, which increased male-male sexual competition. Young men joined gangs to attract women and to become gangsters themselves. In this way, Salvadoran boys became even more dangerous sociopaths. Today there is no way out of CECOT for them. The government of this country does not follow human rights organizations' directives regarding CECOT. The government considers human rights groups to be foreign conspirators. If anyone is ever released from CECOT by state order, they will become an absolute psychopath. They will have no feeling for other people. They will repeatedly face panic attacks and ultimately be driven toward death. Now the question, are you yourself a psychopath?